I've waxed poetic on the Eric Bieniemy thing. He's the Commanders' new offensive coordinator. But it feels like the narrative from so many in the media is, well, the only reason he's offensive coordinator, not a head coach, is because of the color of his skin. Where do you fall on the Eric Bieniemy discussion?
Well, I mean, the NFL obviously has a problem. Can we agree with that? Do you agree that minorities don't get the same opportunity that white guys get?
I don't agree with that.
So you don't
okay.
you think every white guy's gotten hired has earned their keep and a league that's 75% black?
It's not 75% black.
Okay, 70%.
It's not 70% black.
What is it? What is
like
it?
55%.
Okay,
that's not really the point.
50,
okay.
Yes, it is the point.
It's not the point.
And because that's
what not the point, because the players don't. It's not that doesn't translate automatically to that percentage of people wanting to become coaches.
No, but it's
okay?
still.
Because,
but that's where you would get people who have played the game often, not all the time. I think that we would look at, if you told me the NHL had 98% white and the coaches were 75% black, people would look at that and go, that's pretty strange. That would be weird. Would you agree with that? If 75% of the coaches in the NHL were black, would you look at that and think that was strange?
Yeah. It would be weird.
Okay.
Because of the number. But again, like what's not taken into account is almost every coach played football. They just didn't necessarily play in the NFL. Okay. And so they went into coaching when their career got over. So the numbers skew completely differently once you get there. Okay. Because the overall the population of the United States is 13%.
But are you saying that race never plays a factor in there not being a black coach in the NFL till Art Shell in the 90s? Or when was he hired? In 19 I got to get the exact year. You're telling me that Art Shell being the first black coach that long for a league to be that was just happenstance, and because black guys didn't want to be coaches? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's if we're going to go back.
Yeah, I want to go back.
If we're going to go back historically, and Art Shell was hired in 1989. Okay, so we want to go back historically, pre-70s and 80s, I would say absolutely. And because of it, and honestly, the biggest issue was the quarterback position, because so many of these coaches are former quarterbacks. So many of the offensive coordinators are former quarterbacks. Okay, but what we're in a place now where I don't believe it plays any sort of factor at all. Not at all. And I know that from having spoken to NFL GMs, and then you have the actual. Oh yeah, they're going to tell you that. Data.
Oh yeah, they're going to tell you. Yeah, we're not hiring black guys because.
So what? Help me out with this. Okay.
I want to make sure that.
Hold on. Help me out with this. Okay. So a multi-billion-dollar business. Now all these NFL teams are worth billions and billions of dollars. Okay, and they only really have one marching order. This is not college football. This is not where you have to. Our donors are boosters and their level of comfort. The only thing that matters in the NFL is one thing: winning football games. That's all that matters.
Well, they've done a terrible job hiring a lot of bad white coaches.
They've hired bad white coaches.
And retreads. Hold on. More bad white coaches. I'm just Doug.
What do you mean way more?
Hold on.
Wait,
the Cliff Kingsbury got run out of Texas Tech, and he falls into an NFL job. Is that true or not?
So did Cliff
anybody who had a cup of coffee and a sweet roll?
Hold on. Okay, let's have the Cliff Kingsbury discussion for a second. First of all, he actually made the playoffs with the Cardinals. Okay,
that's not what I'm talking about, Doug. To get the job.
Okay, but wait, you have a problem with him getting the job? That's fine. Then you should celebrate when Saban got the job, when Urban Meyer got the job. When the point is, okay, Cliff Kingsbury actually made a whole hell of a lot of sense if you paid attention to what they were trying to do in Arizona.
Did you see his record at Texas Tech and what happened every season? Did you look at that?
He's at
every
Texas
season.
Tech.
Every season they tank, Doug.
Listen.
Every season they tank.
Okay, can we at least? We can find an easy.
I want to have a conversation.
So then you have to stop talking. You have to stop talking to have a conversation.
But I want to say this before we get there. All I want you to do is I want you to at least acknowledge that there's a race issue in this country when it comes to black people getting at the same opportunities. Not in every situation, but oftentimes. We don't for whatever reason, there are no black owners to hire people. I'm telling you.
So you're making a determination that because there's not black owners that they don't hire black coaches when it just doesn't work that way. Okay, but let's because the black owners are okay with their quarterbacks and their teams having black players, but not their coaches who have to. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
There's a different playing field, Doug, when it comes to.
It's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm going to tell you, Doug.
Let's start. Before, no. Now it's my turn. You got a chance. You said there's a race problem, okay? And regardless of previous hiring practices, okay, there's a lot to it. Let's start with Cliff Kingsbury. Okay, if your argument is because he wasn't successful in college, because he lost his job at his alma mater, he shouldn't get an opportunity in the NFL. That's fine, but then you can't make the argument that, well, hey, that is a determinant in success in the NFL. Here's why. Okay, because the most successful college coaches that we have had, Steve Spurrier failed, Lou Holtz failed, Nick Saban failed, Bobby Petrino didn't last the season, etc. Like, we go through, they're a different sport. It's a completely different game. And what it takes to be successful in the pros is merely about relationships with players and X and O's. It's not about all the other stuff. All the other stuff matters a whole hell of a lot more. Recruiting and boosters and getting overall support and winning the university. And basically, like, all those guys, Saban, etc., they have better players than the other teams. And they're really good coaches, and they build really good staffs, and that's how they've been better than everybody else in college. It doesn't work that way in the pros. You got to get the quarterback right. The players have to want to play for you. That's it, period, end of story. Okay, so the idea that, well, he wasn't successful in college, so what? The guys that were successful in college been bad in the pros. Okay, he was hired. His marching orders were, hey, we got Kyler Murray. You know Kyler Murray. Can you make Kyler Murray work? And when Kyler Murray was healthy, it actually worked. Now, Kyler Murray turned out to be a pain in the ass. Okay, and they made a lot of bad decisions, and they lost their job. Okay, but if you want to just say overall racism, like, it's totally unfair because you said, well, certain instances. Let's just take the Eric Bieniemy situation, okay? Like, the idea that racism is keeping him from being a head coach is laughable. It's embarrassing. It really is.
Doug, have you been in any of the interviews with Eric Bieniemy?
I have actually
Have you been in any? Have you been in any interviews?
I have actually spoken to two general managers.
And they told you he can't coach. Is that what they told you? He's a fraud?
Is that what
they told you? He can't.
That's not what they told you.
He can't get an opportunity.
Do you actually want to know what they said, or
what
did
they say?
Yell?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I want to hear. Tell me.
They said so. Eric Bieniemy's reputation in the NFL is he is not a uniter. He is a guy that can be seen as very divisive. Okay, that's his reputation. His reputation is he's not beloved. There's a lot of Vic Fangio. I don't know if you realize Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator for 30 years in the NFL before he got a head coaching job for 2 years in Denver with no quarterback, and now he's back being a defensive coordinator. So there actually is a precedence for it. Okay, so the first thing is his reputation is that of a guy who not necessarily a uniter. Everyone knows that he doesn't call plays. No one actually knows what he does in Kansas City, but both of the guys that I spoke to who interviewed him said that wasn't really an issue. Like, we didn't know if we'd like him. We didn't know if he'd win the room. Okay, we didn't know what he did. But both of them said, okay, that in comparison to other candidates who advanced in the search, okay, in comparison, like, there wasn't a there. There wasn't a clear vision and a clear plan that was aligned. Okay, and you know the way that jobs actually work. Okay, this is the way it actually works: is you hire people that you know, that you've worked with before, that you respect, that you like. Correct? Is that the way generally jobs work?
Yes, that is the way that they work. And you know what? You also could put out a false narrative when you want to on somebody because it's not an exact science. And I want to push back on your whole idea that, the only thing you want to do in the NFL is win. So
that's it.
So you have a black quarterback and you have black players. Yes, because that's a level playing field. Because, Doug, if this country is, 75% white? What is it? I don't even know. And if it was just about putting white players on NFL teams, then they would be filled with them. But guess what? When you line up,
it's a meritocracy.
When you line up,
football is a meritocracy. You play based upon who's good enough.
Exactly, and that's not how they pick coaches, and that's the problem. You don't know. You don't pick coaches based on anything other than your relationships.
There have been Okay, so let's go back to the premise before. First of all, if Kansas City wasn't going to bring him back this year, why did we all forgotten that Kansas City wasn't going to bring him back? That was widely reported that he wasn't going to bring him back, that Mahomes and him didn't see eye to eye. They weren't going to bring him back. By the way, Matt Nagy's on that staff, and everyone who covers Kansas City, who knows that organization, okay, will tell you that the guy who's going to be the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs is Matt Nagy, who didn't succeed. Okay, so again, is Kansas City racist for trying to promote Eric Bieniemy elsewhere and not wanting to? Why couldn't they just name him the head coach in waiting for whenever Andy Reid retires? Of course they could. They don't want to. Okay, Ryan Poles left Kansas City as the GM of the Bears. Last year, he had a head coaching job open. And I know Matt Nagy was a previous offensive coordinator at Kansas City, so it could have made it.
Did he call plays in Kansas City?
No.
No, okay. Just curious.
Wait.
Okay.
So is Ryan Poles?
No, I'm just asking you. I didn't say he's racist, Doug.
You did.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You put them in my mouth.
I said to you
is that the NFL has a
racist history. It does, Doug.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. So don't try to act like, everybody gets jobs on merit. That's my point to you, Doug. Everybody doesn't get jobs on merit. There are a lot of guys who have had an easier track.
Tell me the guy who had the easier track.
There were a lot of coaches.
Just pick a guy.
There were a lot of coaches.
Pick a guy.
Who was the Giants coach who was like a special teams coach? He wasn't even a coordinator.
Okay,
I could go on and on, but no black guys get jobs like that. Joe Judge. I would rather have Judge Judy.
Okay, so Joe Judge. Okay, so he's a special teams coordinator with the New England Patriots. Okay, so how did he get the job? Let's go through it. Who's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens? Who's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens?
Doug,
who's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens? His name's John Harbaugh.
I know who it is, but I don't want to go.
Hold on. John Harbaugh's previous job was what with the Philadelphia Eagles? He's a special teams coordinator.
I get it, but this is the problem.
No, you don't.
Yes,
you don't get it.
Black people aren't in that.
You actually don't get it.
They aren't in that circle, and that's the problem.
I agree.
They're not in that circle, and you keep. No, listen, you hold on.
That's the whole idea.
The Rooney Rule is garbage. It's a dog and pony show to bring black people in, and then go hire who you want. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's the worst thing I've ever. I would never go on a Rooney interview. I wish somebody would tell me to come in and do a dog and pony show when they already know who they're going to hire. How disgraceful is that?
Okay, so let me tell you where the Rooney Rule does work. Okay, Brian Flores had not yet become the defensive coordinator of the Patriots. There was a job open, and one of the GMs I talked to said, we brought in Brian Flores. This is the year before he got the Dolphins job. And he goes, and he actually texted me, hey, call me. I found a guy who's going to be great. And I said, who is it? He's like, Brian Flores. He's going to be the coordinator of the Patriots. He's like a little young, probably needs another year or two of seasoning. He's like, but man, he was really, really impressive. That interview would not have taken place without the Rooney Rule. Now, I would completely agree with you that there have been some that have been dog and pony shows. There have been some. Okay, but the overall idea of the Rooney Rule is to get more people of color in that circle where you establish relationships. And that's exactly what happened. Is Flores did interviews the year before he got the Dolphins job. By the way, Flores,
Doug, have you ever gone on a job?
By the way, Flores, no, I've never gone on a job interview because it doesn't work that way in our profession.
Okay, so you've never been on a job interview where they say, well, we're going to hire this guy anyway,
yes,
but Doug, come in.
Actually, I did.
Come in anyway, Doug.
Actually, I did. I'll tell you, there's an NBA team, okay, that needed a color analyst, right? Needed an analyst for their hometown network, okay? And I was told before the job was ever named to a guy who's a friend of mine. And he does a good job. I believe I'm better than him, but that's okay. It's 2 years ago in the offseason, I went and I did an interview. I did a game for them. I had to prep for a game. I had to prep for a studio show. I did all that stuff. Okay? Even though I knew, I was told by everybody I talked to, hey, dude, you didn't play in the NBA and you're not of color. this is not going to happen. Like, you're wasting your time because the league wants former players, and because of, like you said, the past history of people on TV, people of color not getting opportunities. That's a reality to it. Like, you're not going to get this job. And I went through the process, one, because I wanted to go through the process and see what it was like, and two, because those people that were in the process, you never know if they may need you for a game or they may get another job. And you did a really good job. You're totally professional. And you put yourself in that conversation because they're outside of Doris Burke and I can't think of anybody else. What's her name? Sarah.
For the Nets?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Right.
Like, those are the only two people who are analysts in the NBA who didn't play or coach in the NBA. And so I was told, like, hey, dude, you ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. And, of course, I did it.
Sarah Kustok.
Sarah Kustok. Okay, so and they're both very, very good broadcasters. Okay, but I was told I wasn't getting it, so I do know what that's like. I do understand.
Doug, this is the issue that I have, and I think it's the arrogance of this. You say that you didn't get the job, even though you're better than the person because
I believe it's a subjective profession.
Okay, it is very subjective.
I'm definitely more accomplished.
Okay,
I've definitely done it for longer. I think that I'm better.
But this is what I've heard my whole life. Anybody who's white who doesn't get a job is because they got to hire black people or they got to do minority hiring. No, I've never heard a white guy once say to me, I didn't get the job because I wasn't good enough. It's always because they want to give the brothers a chance. Or you remember
I never said that.
Rachel Nichols. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but don't mess up my gig or whatever. You know, because you guys have bad diversity numbers or whatever it is. It's always the same thing. Not that we've worked and we've put in our time and energy and done what we're supposed to do to get opportunities. I feel I was turned down for plenty of jobs or didn't get the opportunities that I would have gotten had I been white. I believe that. There are situations and circumstances. I do.
I understand. There's situations. I'll give you. I was up for the head coaching job at Oklahoma State. Mike Boynton got it. I did not. Okay? And he got it because of his relationships with the team, his relationships on campus, how people had viewed him. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he's done a really good job handling some really, really hard stuff. I'm not that guy. You asked me, I truly believe, like, I think that's how I operate. I think I'm good enough. I know I'm good at what I do, and I'm more accomplished than him. Again, I haven't been a hater on the dude getting the job. I'm telling you the reality of what I was told going in. I was told when I was at ESPN, like, hey, dude, we'd like to use you on the set, but the way the set works is you got to have a former player and a former coach, and you can't have three white guys across the board. Doesn't work that way. And at the time, the former coach was white.
It's so funny. I've seen plenty of shows that have had four white guys on the set.
Tell me where that exists.
Before I got into this business, it was everywhere. It was everywhere.
No question.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, but how long ago did you get in this business?
I've been in the business 37 years, but I remember those days is what I'm saying.
And what I would tell you, Rob, is I agree with the righting of the past wrongs and equaling out the playing field. I do. Okay, but you have to do it. You can't sit there and go like, well, Eric Bieniemy's not getting this job because the league is racist. Okay, you have the Indianapolis Colts. Their GM is a former Chief guy, and he brought Eric Bieniemy in, and he brought Shane Steichen in, and he needed an offensive guy. That's what they wanted, and they decided on Shane Steichen. All right? So they have, and if Kansas City loved him so much, why'd they let him go? If Kansas City loved him so much, why didn't Indy hire him? Why didn't Chicago hire him? You have to answer these questions, okay? And so you can tell me that historically the NFL has some racist issues quarterback-wise, and I think that's a big part of it, right? Because especially backup quarterbacks, that's who they become coaches, right? But in the context of Eric Bieniemy, it just lacks in any sort of substance, and we all fall back on it because nobody is calling these general managers and say, hey, take me through why you selected who you selected. And they'll give you the reason.